likes to get it out of the offense, that time making the little spin dribble. Leading scorer in the Big Ten Conference.
Actually, I was quite surprised.
At the top, and could be the first time a Bobby Knight coached Indiana team will have the leading scorer in the league.
When you look at him, you think of him as a perimeter player. 7 seconds on the shot clock now for the Buckeyes. We'll get back to it in a second. They go inside. There's another whistle. I believe this one's going against the big guy, Lindemann. Goes against Lindemann. That's number 1 on the 7-footer. And the third team foul.
Well, we're yet to play 4 minutes, and Muzenovic with a couple, and now Lindemann with his first one.
Ute deep in the corner. In and out, no good. Evans gets the rebound. Getting back to Evans, you think of him as a perimeter player, at least some of the fans that with an outside perspective on things, but he's been to the line 193 times this year. That stat actually kind of surprised me. He's taken 140 trays, takes it down to the baseline, nothing but net. He's got 4. Beautiful touch though, doesn't he?
Just a great stroke. Elbow underneath the ball and then a wrist action to finish.
Tate kicks it back outside.
I think Tate was actually going to Ute that time. Stringer intercepted as he was coming back out on top.
Stringer 5 assists, only 3 turnovers in the last game against the Iowa Hawkeyes here in St. John Arena last Saturday. Tate from 16. And Singleton gets away with a little push-off there on Brian Evans. No call. Here comes Reed with a basketball.
One of the few good looks Ohio State has gotten was that last jumper by Tate. It did not drop. He was 15 out of 17. For 15 of his last 17 in over 2 ball games. He's 0 for 3 here in the early going.
Stringer. Buckeyes keep it alive, but it goes out to Indiana. Evans with a basketball. The Buckeyes still have yet to hit a field goal tonight.
You see the patience and the discipline of the Indiana team. They had a 3-on-2 there, but elected not to run. And then they leave Evans uncovered, and he buries it from out on top. Randy Ayers takes time out.
Evans, that's 7 for the Big Ten scoring leader. 14:48 to go in the opening 20 minutes. It's a 10-point game. 12-2 Hoosiers. As far as shooting the rock, of course, he checked in against Gino Carlisle and kind of quieted him down against Northwestern. Singleton hits his first shot. And the Buckeyes cut it to 8.
And right now, D'Antonio against Reed. They need a little bit more size on Evans. Singleton has him.
Steal for the Buckeyes. Singleton in transition uses the, no, he doesn't use the window, but he scores. And the
Good job on the interception plus the hang time. Even though that interception was about foul line extended, you saw the speed of Singleton taking it on the break. Ohio State gets their first 2 from their defense.
There's Evans inside. Lindemann. Nice touch by Lindemann that time. He's got 5.
He just posted up inside and called for the ball on the short jumper.
Stonewall. Little stutter step.
Good move. Lindemann almost just playing stick defense. He already has an early personal. Muzenovic is back in there playing with 2. There's a little high-low action.
Lindemann again. Indication, do they count the basket?
I think they will.
He's got it. 7 for Lindemann. Comes in averaging 8, just under 9 points a game.
Evans to the high post. Lindemann just getting position inside, and D'Antonio coming to help out.
So the big guy goes to the line with 7 points. You mentioned the fact that he had 19 against Illinois, 21 in that loss to Purdue. Andre Patterson checks back in, so he's going to be okay. You know, this
D'Antonio
guy
trying to stop the shot. Excuse me, Mike, but you've got to foul him harder than that because you can't even let him get his arms up in the air. He turned it into another 3-point play.
So far, it's Lindemann and Brian Evans with the hot hands for the Hoosiers. They lead it by 8 again, 16-8. 8 points for Lindemann, 7 for Evans. Buckeyes trying to work it down on the blocks, and Sam Littleiter calls a walk-in with a basketball. And it goes back to the Indiana Hoosiers.
Tate shuffling his feet on the catch down inside. Randy Ayers not in agreement.
Evans dishes it again. Hoosiers lead the Big Ten in number of assists. 10 on the shot clock. Reed is yet to shoot, and
nice play.
Singleton strips the basketball. You know, the last 8 games, the Buckeyes have not had the same leading scorer. Is that good news or bad news, Bill?
It's all how you want to look at it.
I guess you could look at it as balance. Rick Ute. And a little off again. Ball goes out of bounds, and it goes to Indiana. Much to the dismay of the 13,000 fans here. I guess I'm already in that brand new Schottenstein Center. 13,000. This is a sellout here at St. John Arena tonight.
No, it's all right to spread the basketball around, Mike, but it also says that they don't have a go-to guy when you've exchanged it 8 times.
Inside, Miller, his first shot to southpaw. Off the target, but another second opportunity. Brand new shot clock for the Hoosiers.
Indiana running that man-to-man offense, getting a lot of screening action.
Patterson steps outside for the triple. He's got 5. Big guy, 6'8". He's taken 51 trays this year.
There's nice double team, but Tate beats it with the quickness. The dunk doesn't drop.
Boy, the operative word there is quickness, though, huh? Boy, he got around him in a hurry. Except for the overall record, you know, I would think that Jermaine Tate might pull in some votes for Freshman of the Year in this conference.
He's done an excellent job. He's definitely on the all-freshman team. We know that.
Here's Tate now down the blocks. Kicks it out to Stonebrook. Singleton from behind the line. He's got it. That's a 3.
He's playing with more confidence in every outing, getting more minutes. He's shown the inside game tonight, the ability to score in transition.
And Bill,
now the outside shot.
I'm sorry, that is his first triple. That's his first triple attempt of the year. Evans on the baseline. Air ball. From the Buckeyes now.
3-on-1.
Belter loses the basketball.
You have to convert on those.
10:45 to go. It's a 9-point game. Indiana with 20. The Buckeyes with 11.
First time my new boss.
Tonight's Big Ten game is a copyrighted telecast of Creative Sports Incorporated. Any use, rebroadcast, or other transmission of any or all of this game without the express written consent of Creative Sports is prohibited. And we welcome all of our viewers who are watching us on DirecTV. Randy Ayers, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, dropped 3 straight to these Indiana Hoosiers. Ayers looking for his 115th victory. On the other end, Bobby Knight's 25 consecutive winning seasons. Chris Rolls in the ball game, and Bill Rolls, number 4. He played. He only averages about 8 minutes a ball game, but he played the entire second half against Wisconsin over the weekend.
He's a young player, but he brings some added quickness. Good block out inside by D'Antonio. Ohio State's 5th rebound of the ball game. Indiana with 11. So the Hoosiers getting it inside and dominating the boards in the early going.
And the Buckeyes trail by 9. They had 3 steals in the game. The Hoosiers have yet to pick up a steal. They've had 11 in the last 2 games. Stonebrook, air ball.
Didn't look comfortable on that shot even as he put it up. Didn't look like he wanted to take the shot. Didn't have great balance.
Kick it outside to Evans. He's got it. Another 3.
He has to be located if Ohio State's to have a chance. The one man you have to locate every time down is Brian Evans. He's going to score some points, Mike, but you really have to make him work to earn them. Tonight he's getting open jumpers.
And Bill, they say that he is obviously the go-to man, but they say when the Hoosiers win, it's balance. I mean, Evans gets his, but then guys like Reed and Lindemann and Patterson also chip in. When they don't chip in, the Hoosiers usually go down.
Well, Bobby Knight's style of play has never featured an individual.
D'Antonio, 4 on the clock, gets it off, but Evans clears for the Indiana Hoosiers.
Not a good look again by Ohio State.
4th rebound for Brian Evans. He's got 10 points. He had 23 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists in their first meeting in Bloomington. Nice head fake. And he's got it. Hits the runner. He's got an even dozen.
And Randy Ayers takes another quick timeout. I think this one will be a 20, but that last jumper, that was just a senior on a freshman, and he just schooled him right there. Great ball fake. Got Singleton up in the air, and then just a little one dribble bounce for some rhythm, and he knocked in a short jumper. You'll see him catch it and square up. Ball fake. There it is. Little drop step move. Nothing but the bottom.
5
out of 7.
You know, Bill, you think of him as a scorer, which obviously is. He leads the Big Ten, but he also leads them in rebounding and steals. There's one of those droughts once again that's hampered Randy Ayer's squad so often. I mean, they're competitive against Illinois, Purdue, Iowa. They go into those droughts. How do you rectify that, Bill, except, you know, excluding the fact that they're not an experienced ball club?
Well, when Ohio State has been effective offensively, it's when they really, like we said at the top of the show, scored from their defense and got out in transition. Tonight they're having to earn them all, with the exception of the one basket by Singleton. Everything's had to come out of the half court. Indiana's had decent pressure on the ball and not allowing the ball to get down inside. Good team defense by the Hoosiers in the early going.
Saw the numbers a second ago, 27% for Ohio State. Stringer tries the runner, but Belter's there for his first basket.
Same thing we saw at the other end. That time Lindemann went over to help out, and then Belter cleaned up well inside. Had the open lane to get the rebound.
It rolls almost out of control, but Miller gets it. Evans, nice feed inside to Lindemann. He jams it down. He has 10.
Well, there's the early scoring by Evans. He drew a crowd that time as soon as he caught the basketball, and Lindemann reacted well. Indiana doing what they want to do on the road, and that's get the early lead. Ohio State got way behind at Bloomington, but I think out of the young team it was nerves, and played well to start the second half. They need to make a move before the half comes to a close here with 7:40 remaining on the clock.
It's a nice pass inside to Tate, but too much traffic. A lot of red jerseys collapsing on the ball. Here's Lindemann again. He goes high off the window. Boy, Bill, he's got 12, and
he's really playing with confidence. He's catching the ball well here tonight, because Lindemann is usually a guy that's been in the doghouse so much, it seems like he's just has to work hard to get in position just to make catches. But tonight, it looks like he's not playing with one eye on the bench and one eye on the game. He's focused in on what's going on out there.
Don Jantonio steps outside and hits the three.
Big hoop for Ohio State. Stops a little of the bleeding.
Lead cut to 13, 29-16. Back to Lindemann, Bill. Only 3 times all season has he not shot 60% from the floor. So you mentioned he's playing with confidence. So that's obviously the operative word. 6:52. We're going to take a timeout here at St. John Arena. 29-16. It's the Indiana Hoosiers by 13. Finish line, Bill.
Well, 2 guys are 5 out of 7 for Indiana. Evans down low right now has the basketball. He drew a crowd, so Lindemann just used the open lane, took advantage of it. Big finish by the big senior.
And that is our finish line. First half replay of the game. Todd Lindemann, look at those numbers. Very impressive. We mentioned he was a Class D. Now up in Michigan, they go A, B, C, D. So this guy is 7 feet tall playing against a Class D school. So that had to be quite the adjustment going from there to Indiana. And like
I think an adjustment anywhere to Indiana.
Yeah, I guess
it's a little different scenario when you get over there.
Belter, a little spin on the baseline.
Patterson and Coleman bumped heads early. We've seen Patterson. He reappeared. Nashawn Coleman has not been back in the ball game for Ohio State.
Stringer loses the basketball. And Indiana comes down with a 13-point lead. Chris Rolls. Rolls hit 6 of 8 free throws in that win over Wisconsin. I mentioned he only averages about 8 minutes a game.
There's no question about their game plan. They're looking inside every time down. Just not a good pass.
Stringer. Good ball movement that time. Belter takes Lindemann inside, but he walks with the basketball. That's the 6th turnover for the Buckeyes tonight. And the Buckeyes.
Ohio State without a true low post player. Randy Ayer's not in agreement again with the walking call, but Belter caught it and tried to turn and face up. Changed his pivot feet. Here's a bump by Damon Stringer.
Number 4, Damon Stringer, his first team.
So that's number 1 on Damon. The reason for the pregnant pause there, I'm not so sure if that was, I mean, they might have had some contact, Bill, but that might have been a ticky-tacky call.
I thought all fouls by guards were kind of ticky-tack, don't you think?
All right.
Just a little bump there, but Damon goes out.
I guess you're right. I guess this isn't the NBA.
Unless Bosley gets one down inside. Now you'll know if Bos gets you, you've been fouled. There he is, struggling to get around the pick.
Evans was out well NBA range that time.
Good block out by Stone Rook inside. Ohio State this time keeping the Hoosiers to just one shot. Need to take advantage of every possession when you're down by 13. 5:15 remaining in the half.
Nice soft hook shot by Belter.
Good move. A little better patience that time. Good body control.
Haven't really seen that shot since the last time the Buckeyes played Indiana when he scored 18. Whistle in the paint goes against Indiana. I believe it's against number 21 Richard Mandeville.
On 21, Richard Mandeville.
Just cleared out with the upper body as he set the screen.
Robbie Eggers checking in now for Bobby Knight. Another 6'10 guy, 6'10", 245-pound sophomore out of the Buckeyes take. Cuyahoga Falls. Under 5 minutes. There's the score, 29-18. John Stonerook's been averaging about 16 over the last 2 games. Rick Utes off the window.
Did he call that?
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. His first bucket. And Rolls comes right back and answers.
No help inside once they were beaten out on top, and then Lindemann just walled off everybody down inside.
Boy, Stonerook, he's got the shot. Once he starts popping that in future years, he could be a weapon. I mean, he really had the open shot there. Right about the arc. Belter out. Ute off of the assist by Belter.
Senior to senior. Good hands by Stonerook, and the ball came down, went off of Reed's leg. Crowd getting into it.
Just going to say Rick Ute igniting that crowd. He's coming off back-to-back 11-point games. He only had 4 against Indiana in the opener. He had 21 in Bloomington last year, however. There's a 3-point shooting. Buckeyes were anemic against Iowa, shooting 20% from behind the arc on Saturday. Bosley in and out. Turn around in the paint. Little shy that time by the big guy, and Belter clears for the Buckeyes. Buckeyes have a chance to cut it to 5. Belter, he's going to be caught with walking, I think. Yep, Sam Lickliner said he dragged his pivot foot.
And actually, that call might have helped Ohio State because Rawls had made the pick. He had a layup at the other end.
Bobby Knight, 25 consecutive.
This is the first one. Maybe that's 4 if you bank a 3. I don't know, unless you call it. This one looks more like the Rick Ute that we know. Got his feet set, wide open.
He now has 30 triples on the year. And the Buckeyes doing some pressure defense now.
Randy Ayers wanting a walk on Evans as he took it down on the baseline. Ohio State getting themselves back in this game with really a lot of offensive players on the bench. There's the steal by Bosley. And a great effort going after that loose ball.
Boy, did he go after that, huh?
Unbelievable. Ball will go back to Indiana.
Well, the Buckeye bench getting it done, Bill.
14 points in this ball game off the bench. As you see Bosley. The ball's on the floor. You're going to find Bosley on the floor. He goes after it again.
Evans pressured, but he gets it inside to Lindemann, and Lindemann gets the drop.
Lindemann at nearly 260 pounds. That time he stayed with it. Belter applied the pressure, committed to personal, but Lindemann with enough strength to finish the play. Got it in his strong hand, the right hand. Chance at his 3rd 3-point play. Those are all coming the old-fashioned way. You're not going to see him behind the arc.
You know, you go from 33% to 65%. I mean, is it all confidence? Or, I mean, is it over the summer he worked on some post moves? Or what's this guy doing?
Well, he's not taking bad shots anymore, that's for sure. They're working into the offense. He's getting that ball down inside where he can do something.
Well, he has 15. He's done a lot of damage here. Hoosiers by 10. There's a steal. They've had 11 over the last 2 games. Reed has yet to score. Takes it the distance. And the charge against Neil Reed.
And Reed just indecisive. Indiana not a team that likes to score in transition. He's an excellent shooter and a good ball handler, but that time he didn't pull up and pull the defense to him. He tried to take it onto the hoop. Didn't look comfortable as we look again in the last 7 or 8 feet of this play. Now he starts thinking, what should I do? Pass or shoot it? You charge.
Now you mentioned obviously they're working the ball into the down in the blocks with Lindemann, but Reed comes in averaging 11, 124 3-point attempts. I'm surprised he's only taken about 2 shots in the entire first half. Rick Hughes just off the front of the rim. Under 2 minutes now. First half. 10-point game, Indiana. Evans. Another fake. Another soft touch for Brian Evans.
And after the ball fake, they parted inside. The 2 defenders allowed him to come on. When Brian Evans has the basketball, you have to approach him with a hand up.
Boy, Tate took it inside. Indiana's doing a great job of collapsing down in the blocks on Tate. Or Stone, or Belter, whomever gets the ball. Here's Tate, 16. In and out. Evans with another rebound. That's 5 for him.
Lindemann refuses to chase Tate much further than 12 or 14 feet. So when he's open at the foul line, he's missed a couple of those here in the first half.
Eggers from outside, the 6'10 guy. Oh, Bobby Knight liked that shot. Didn't say anything. He kind of glanced at him like he was going to say something, like the shot selection wasn't that appropriate. Under a minute, 57 seconds to go. 12-point game. Indiana leads it by a dozen. Ute off the dribble. Doesn't fall. Whistle.
Stone Rook's going to pick up the personal. No one really anticipated that shot going up by Rick Ute, and that's been the problem in this first half of offense for Ohio State. Kind of a do or die situation with some of the threes, but getting in position to offensively rebound a basketball, the key is knowing when the shot's being taken.
There's the general, Bob Knight. 11 Big Ten championships, his last in '93. Evans. You know, Bobby Knight was saying earlier this week, he says, hey, don't compare this guy to Calvert Chaney. Brian Evans is not a quick basketball player, but it seems to me he has good fakes and he's quick down on the baseline. He seems like a quick basketball player. Is that just my assessment? Or?
Well, he doesn't obviously have the foot speed that Chaney had, and I don't think you project him for the same kind of professional career that Calvert Chaney has. But I'll tell you, when he's open, the young man can shoot the basketball. And he's doing everything he can to the best of his ability, and that's all you can ask of your ball players, and especially a senior. He's given them a great senior year.
So he leads the Big Ten in scoring at just under 22. Would he fall under the category of more of a blue-collar worker then, if he doesn't have the athleticism?
I think you could say that, but he's not a blue-collar shooter.
All right, join us Saturday on Creative Sports for a Big Ten doubleheader. The action gets underway at noon Eastern when the Nittany Lions of Penn State to play host to the Ohio State Buckeyes. Then the Golden Gophers of Minnesota travel to Champaign to take on the Fighting Illini. It's all right here on Creative Sports, so check your local listings. Mentioned the 11 Big Ten titles, of course, 3 national championships most people like to talk about for Coach Knight. There's the clock, that's the time.
Ohio State had it to 7. Indiana with the last 5 points. And it looks like they're going to take the last shot of the half. Reed out on top against Rick Ute. Now Stringer coming out to double team.
Evans way downtown. Rolls with the tip, but it doesn't go. There's the horn. The first half is history. So the 2 teams head for the locker room, and the Indiana Hoosiers will talk about a 12-point lead over the Buckeyes. Lindemann, the big guy, the 7-footer, he's hot with 15. It's 36-24. Indiana leading the Buckeyes as they get ready to drop the curtain on the home season in 1996. We'll be back with more in a minute.
Throws, both teams hitting them well, really not a factor. They haven't, neither club been to the line very often. Indiana winning on the boards and winning on the points in the paint.
good news, he's back on the bench for the Buckeyes. And Bill, who had the hot hand here?
Well, you see the individual scoring. Singleton had that nice little spurt for Ohio State. Rick Ute knocked down a couple of threes for the Buckeyes. Only 10 points out of the starting 5 for Ohio State, but of course Coleman left with the injury.
Inside outside for Indiana.
Indiana, 2 seniors really doing the job. 34 of their 36 came from their starters.
And the Buckeyes open up the second half with the basketball. Rick Ute only 2 of 6, but he was 2 of 3 from three-point land. This time he takes it down to the paint, and he tries to go up strong against Lindemann, but he comes up a little shy.
Little bump inside on Ute that time. He ball faked a couple times. There was a little contact. No call. Nice play by Singleton, just beating Evans to the spot. Read the pass well, read the eyes of the passer. Moved, got in the position, and came up with a basketball.
It's the 5th steal for the Buckeyes. Singleton, he was 3 of 3 in the first half. Tates uses the window. He's got it.
Trying to get on track. That's his first field goal of the ball game. Caught it at the foul line where he's been open, and this time he elected to take it a little bit closer. Knocked it in off the glass. Ohio State trying to pick up the defensive pressure.
Rolls getting the start in the second half. Lindemann's got his first shot. Little luck that time, but it dropped.
Well, he moved inside. He wasn't open early, but he continued to keep working that time. They dumped it inside to him. Lindemann works, held his position, and Rick Ute reached across. And he has a chance now for his 4th three-point play of the night.
17 points on the night for the 7-footer out of Channing, Michigan. Way up in the Upper Peninsula, not far from where Tom Izzo, the coach of Michigan State, grew up. But he misses the shot. And it's a 12-point ball game.
Evans giving Stonerook a lot of room, and that makes the passing angles even that much tougher. Sean has good vision, but Evans dropping off 4 or 5 feet, almost becoming the looks of a zone defense on that particular sequence.
Charlie Miller, he's been quiet offensively. This guy hasn't, though. He misses it. Evans, and the rebound goes to Stringer. Stringer trying to kick it up quickly. Nice lead. The corner. Ute, he's got it. That's a 3. He's got 3 triples.
2 of the really good open shooters in this league. Brian Evans obviously on a consistent basis. Rick Ute's been up and down. Evans couldn't believe he missed his open jumper. Ute got his.
Charlie Miller takes it on the baseline. Whistle before the shot. Goes on Singleton, his first. Charlie Miller, that's his, he's only had 1 shot all day. This guy had a great freshman year when you look at the numbers last year. Charlie Miller, the southpaw, 46% from three-point line.
Well, he's had to make a total transition, a tremendous high school score, and doesn't fill that role at Indiana. 6 feet 7 inches tall, good size for a guard. Actually playing up front to start this second half, but he can move to the back court if they put the bigger lineup in.
74% shooter from the line, comes up empty. So what Indiana likes to do, they like to make more free throws than the opposition actually attempts. That's one thing the Buckeyes have been doing lately, is getting to the line more, right?
Usually with penetrating moves like that. Stringer got it inside, missed a jumper. Good hustle by Ohio State. They'll get another opportunity.
Tate, spin, rebound by Brian Evans.
A lot of contact in this ball game tonight. Tate bumped a little bit on the shot. Evans bumped a little bit on the rebound.
Neil Reed from downtown. Reed was pushed, no call.
He's still down.
Here comes Stringer. Kicks it out to Ute. He's been hot from out there. Ooh, in and out. Buckeyes with a second opportunity. Tate off the window. He's got it.
2 early field goals by Jermaine Tate. Ohio State back to 7.
Miller.
Just can't break down that way defensively. Nobody on Miller. And when you try to help out from inside, the one thing Lindemann does well, he did it once in the first half, he did it here in the second half, just sets a good screen and doesn't let his man get to the shooter.
Buckeyes trailed by 12 at the break. It's a 9-point game now, 40-31. Inside, Utes. A little bit too far underneath. And they say he stepped on the baseline.
Well, they pointed to the baseline, or the foul was called on the floor. They didn't call the foul in the act of shooting. Unless they've changed that also. Very much a delayed whistle. And it appears Ohio State will play it from inbounds. So there was no foul in the act of shooting, although it appeared from here that he was bumped.
Spin move, Utes. Stonerook goes up strong. He's fouled. Stoney's going to go to the line to shoot 2.
Patterson can't believe it. Picks up the personal foul.
Foul number 45, Andre Patterson, his third, team second.
Once again, a lot of
Here's
red
the
jerseys.
Inbounds play. Ute with a little spin, no touch there, but then on the loose ball, Stonerook comes down with it, kind of wills it back up. Patterson reaches in after the basketball, part of the ball, part of the arm.
Stonerook.
It's a home game, you get that kind of a bounce. That was offline when it left his hand.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Hit the right side, pop back up for him.
He's been to the line 34 times now the last 4 games. He's got 6.
And that's a good sign, the fact that he's getting that many of attempts. Stonerook moving around a little better. Ohio State now giving the appearance of the 2-3 zone, and they're in zone.
Looking down in the blocks like they did the first 20 minutes. There's Lindemann.
Inside, outside, getting it back to Evans.
Back inside, and Tate throws the big guy down, and Lindemann's not too happy about it.
Lindemann jumps back up to his feet as if he's going to do something. And the one thing the rap on this kid is he's always been too nice.
Well, he got up very quickly.
Pass inside. Hard foul. Hey, he's in the act of shooting. That's a good foul inside.
You say he's always been too nice, but I guess when you score 15 first half points, suddenly you're not such a nice ball player.
Yeah, let's see if he can make some free throws, huh? No reaction that time out of Bob Knight or Randy Ayers. Both just stayed on their chairs.
18. A couple of games ago, he had 21 against the Purdue Boilermakers in a loss. And he's hot at the line. He's only a 50% shooter. Now he's 5 of 6. Buckeyes push it up the court quickly.
They need to go inside to Tate to see if they can't force Lindemann to play a little bit of defense. Right there it is. Good move inside. The foul's going to go on Lindemann.
And Stonerook's going to go back to the line again. That's number 2 on the 7-footer, Lindemann.
Number 55, Lindemann, his second.
You called it.
Stonerook beats Patterson. Lindemann coming over to help out. Caught really in no man's land, just out of position.
Well, you called it. I guess you played this game before, didn't you? Somewhere down the line.
Oh, somewhere.
Stonerook, 69% from the line. Next time I'll keep my mouth shut. Won't mention any numbers. I just jinxed him. He was 4 for 4 from the line tonight. He's got that one. 7 points for Sean Stonerook. 15:54 to go in the ball game from St. John Arena. 42-34. Knight and his Hoosiers looking for their 26th consecutive winning season. 42-34, that's the score. And speaking of scores, Bill, let's check out some other scores from around the country. That's a final. It's a close one. The Pirates of Seton Hall. And the Syracuse, speaking of successful seasons, they've had 17 straight now 20-win seasons. At NCAA, the big dance just around the corner. Xavier picking up a win. That was an early game.
Well, when you're playing in those tournaments, those are same as NCAA games to a lot of those schools.
Yeah, really. For them, the NCAA tournament has started. Rolls.
Ohio State, a little matchup zone right now. Having trouble guarding the Hoosiers man-to-man.
6 on the clock. And And Charlie Miller gets his first field goal.
By Charlie Miller.
Got a good look against the zone that time once they got it to the baseline. Ohio State needs to keep working. When you have the advantage in quickness, even though you can't pound it inside, if you keep motion, you can create problems, especially for the big people for Indiana. They have to force Lindemann really to play some defense, especially when he's hurting you as much as he is offensively here tonight.
Singleton dips inside the paint, and he misses his first shot. He's 3 for 3 in the first half. Indiana 17-11. They're 10-6 in the Big Ten. Got to believe they're in the dance. There's the foul before the shot, I would think.
I think it's on Stonerook, probably while Lindemann was in the act of shooting because he was turning to go up with it. He just turned back inside.
Fouls on number 40, Sean Stonerook, his third.
So that's 3 on Sean Stonerook, and Lindemann is back on the line. Lindemann with 19 points. It's 11 over his average.
Steve Belter getting ready to come back for Ohio State to give a little bit more size inside.
Lindemann misses. There's Belter right there. Belter with 18 in the first game. He has 1 field goal here tonight. Lindemann's parents actually picked up and moved from Michigan to Indianapolis to watch their son play college hoops for Indiana. And he has 20 points. Back to 11. Well, Bill, Indiana has held their last 8 opponents to 38% or less.
Good job by Tate right there, Mike, going up, getting that offensive rebound for Ohio State. Ute'll get another look.
A little shy that time. Buckeyes looks like they're going to follow suit as far as that 38% shooting. Only 2 teams have shot 50% or more against this Hoosier basketball team.
Well, the reason for that is they're doing such a good job tonight on the defensive boards. They're not giving up the second shots.
In transition, Singleton loses control. It goes out of bounds, and the official says it stays with the Buckeyes.
Randy Ayers up off the bench, wanted a foul on that particular play. Ohio State will retain possession.
Randy Ayers really feels his Buckeye team has finally turned the corner, though, even though it hasn't showed up in the win column. Belter kicks it back outside of the perimeter.
Tate handling the ball quite a bit in these possessions, but not really asserting himself at the offensive end, taking it to the hoop. Shot clock down to 15.
Ute trying to come off the screen, shy again down on the baseline. So Ute's taking it inside, but once he gets up against the 7-footers down there.
He's looking for Lindemann. Ohio State gets a break right there as they left Evans wide open, and then he picks up, even as a senior, the frustration
I was
foul.
going to say, yeah, frustration. A little bit shy. He went after that one, did a little headhunting. As soon as it happened, he wishes he could have had that one back.
He's going down the defensive end, still looking at his form and thinking about the shot that he just missed. A sign of a great shooter. He has to work so hard all season to get open for this club because everybody gets ready to play Indiana, concentrates on Evans. So he absolutely cannot believe it when he's open.
Damon Stringer from way downtown. His first bucket is a triple.
Good hands by Stringer. They don't come up with the ball, but he knocked it loose. He knocked it loose again.
Singleton. Stringer again from downtown. Rebound goes to Andre Patterson. And this basketball crowd has come alive here at St. John Arena. Patterson deep. He's got it. No basket. Whistle before the shot.
Fouls on Belter or on Lindemann. They were going at it. I think it's going to go against Steve Belter of Ohio State before the shot.
Goes against Belter. That's his second.
Lindemann going down with a big weight advantage, just wants to set up inside. There's a little step over move. Belter nudged him out from behind with the right knee is what he was called for. You weigh 260, you're allowed to try to do a little something in there, aren't you? Especially if it's your last home game.
He should be allowed to. Reed and Patterson He likes it out there for the big guy. He misses that time. And Lindemann.
Well, he's doing it all at both ends. Another foul away from the basketball. This one's going to go against Tate.
Number 3 on Jermaine.
Foul on number 30, Jermaine Tate, his third. Tate's second.
Tate averaging 20 points over the last 2 games, 16 over the last 4. But there's your Big Ten scoring leader, Brian Evans, off the dribble, and it rolls in.
Basket by Brian Evans.
It's his first bucket, Bill, in the second half. He's got 16.
Indiana, 10-point lead and controlling the tempo throughout.
Baseline, Utes. This time he's long with Belter.
Now the air ball's, as always, a very tough shot to rebound. They mistimed it because you anticipate the ball hitting the rim, and Steve Belter comes up with it for Ohio State.
Damon Stringer.
Push going against Belter. And Ohio State not penetrating with the basketball in this half. They're really settling for the outside shot. When they've taken it inside, whether they go up with it strongly or whether then they come back out for the 3, it usually serves them better. Indiana, the last 2 or 3 possessions, keeping Ohio State on the perimeter, and they're settling for the outside shot.
So Patterson goes to the line. One thing that's stood out in my mind, you look at some of these Hoosiers and some of these guys that are used to scoring, they don't seem to be getting impatient. They're not getting their shots, but they lead by 10 in the game.
Well, you're part of a system. And obviously they know what the game plan is here tonight. Brian Evans always has the green light, but tonight the thought is to get it inside.
11:44 before they tuck this one away in the history books. It's a 10-point game. Bobby Knight's Hoosiers lead at 40. Ball game down to the paint, Bill.
Well, there's been a lot of action inside. Lindemann and Tate going at it. That exchange right there was not a foul. Neither was that exchange there. So now you're going to see Belter and Patterson get into it. The whistle still hasn't blown. That's just life in the Big Ten.
Life in the Big Ten. When you turn around and get in the NCAA tournament, you don't know what kind of officials you're going to have.
That's exactly right. And you have to be good enough or smart enough to adjust once you see how they're calling the game.
Nice lead pass that time by Stonerook. He's going back to the line. No, they're going to call the charge on Stoney. That's 4 on Stonerook.
Now we've seen it out of Stringer. Now we're seeing it out of Stonerook. A couple of guys that really don't talk to the officials very much, and they're starting to question some things out there. But you saw all that contact we saw moments ago, and then you have a hard time judging what's contact, what's a foul, what isn't. Then when it goes against you, you really get frustrated, especially when you're a freshman against a senior.
Miller just said they were very, very patient. Looked like he was a little impatient on that one. They kick it out to Ute deep in the corner. Takes, reconsiders, and boy, Damon Stringer. A little hop, skip, and a jump, but he's caught with blocking with a basketball. Shot falls, but it doesn't count.
Well, you called it that hop, skip, and a jump. I think that skip was the traveling move in there. Take another look as he comes to a stop, then picks them both up.
Stringer now with 3 turnovers. He had 3 against the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Singleton and Miller going at it, and they're going to call the offensive foul.
Little use of the arm.
So Randy Ayers has been up talking a little bit. Finally gets one. He feels to go his way. Bob Knight just on a slow pace headed to the other end of the bench.
Remember a couple of years ago, Brian Evans practically played with one arm. I think Miller would have been better served with one arm that time. 10:45 to go. It's a 10-point game still. 47-37, Indiana on top. Still working it down on the blocks. Tate against Lindemann. A lot of red jerseys again. Singleton's open, and he's got it.
Tate showed some strength that time, just retaining possession of the ball.
But Indiana comes right back in transition. That's Andre Patterson, jams it down.
All you do is lose your focus for just a second. Once again, basket wide open. They pushed it up the floor, a non-running team. This one will go against Miller, I think, pushing through the screen.
Well, there's still 10 minutes to go, Bill. I mean, you like physical basketball. This keeps up in the next 6 or 7 minutes. Who knows what could happen?
Well, I tell you, when it gets physical, even though Indiana's the slower of the two clubs, I think it favors them because they're seniors and they have that weight advantage.
Goaltending.
But Ohio State still very much in this ball game. Back to 8 again. They trailed by 12 at the half.
The goaltending call on Lindemann, and Singleton's in double figures with 11.
Here's where the bulk makes a difference, though. Randy Ayers feeling Jermaine Tate has to get a rest. Probably because of that defensive lapse he had moments ago. So Scott Gradney is checked in, and Ohio State coming with full court pressure, and they get the 5-second call.
And the crowd loving every second of it right now. 8-point ball game. Bobby Knights, he's had a lot of winning teams, but his teams, they come into Columbus, Ohio for some reason. Gradney takes his first shot, misses. Patterson clears. Buckeyes have always performed well against Indiana here.
Very tough on the Hoosiers in this building, regardless of the record, regardless of the Cubs. Belter can't believe it. He and Lindemann lock up, and Steve Belter picks up the personal. And that's 4 on Belter. Randy Ayers wants an explanation. He wants to know what he did.
You know, you pointed out during that last replay, I mean, I've never officiated a game in my life, so don't get me wrong, but I mean, the bumping and shoving and grinding down on this end, and then you come back on the other end, and it's almost like an incidental contact almost. But
well, that's why Richie Falk, the assistant commissioner that's head of officials, gets to watch so much film during the week. All those are sent.
21 now for Lindemann. He had 21 against Purdue 2 games ago. And he tops that. It's 22. I don't know if he's going to play professional basketball, but he's going to wrap up his Indiana career on a high note. They're playing some real strong basketball tonight.
And they've continued to go to him all night.
Belter. Boy, he had the open shot, but Singleton will take it. He's got it.
Got it to Singleton, who's had the hot hand.
Jason now with 13 points, and Neil Reed.
Singleton 6 out of 7 from the floor. His best offensive performance.
Patterson, nice move. Good defensive play by Gradney, though. The Buckeyes come away with the basketball.
Ohio State with a single point guard out on top, and Stringer spreading the floor a little bit. Belter coming out for the pick. Nice play.
Goes in strong, but the offensive foul goes against Belter. That's 5. On the senior from Westchester, Lakota. Seemed like yesterday he was
both
playing.
Both players came out. Excuse me, Mike. Both players came out to Stringer that time. Belter was wide open and just leaned in a little bit too far. Patterson came over for the help defense, but he had the short opportunity jumper had he taken it. There he was, wide open, and then just plowed on into Patterson.
Well, Steve Belter has played his final seconds at St. John Arena. Of course, the Buckeyes will close on the road at Penn State. Seems like yesterday I was going to say he scored 23 here for his high school team in the state tournament. Some pushing and shoving with Lindemann and Tate really going at it. Good spin move by Evans, but he misses the shot. A lot of electricity in this building right now, Bill. 8:24 to go.
Gradney staying active inside. We'll see where the foul goes. And it goes against Gradney.
Andre Patterson shooting 2.
Here you see Ute going out of bounds.
Patterson with 8. 6'8", 230-pound sophomore out of Abilene, Texas. Make that 9 for Andre. Well, Randy Ayers really liked his play over in Japan when Ayers coached the college team on that international tour. 10-point game again, favoring Indiana.
And that replay that we saw wasn't the foul.
That's right.
That was Youth there, but it was Gradney on the arm.
Springer showing some quickness, takes it down inside the line of the Giants, and Lindeman's called for the foul. I think Lindeman was surprised at how quick Springer was taking it down on the baseline. He tried to move over. That's the third now on Lindeman.
But he's played a lot of moments inside with a lot of bumping with just the 2 personals. So now you're down to 8 minutes, or 8:08 actually, remaining in regulation before Lindeman picks up the 3rd personal.
And Damon now with 4 points. Cuts the Ohio State deficit to 9 once again. Vujacic, we talk about his physical play. He really hasn't seen too many minutes here. I guess that would be because Lindeman's scoring so well for the Hoosiers.
Well, for all the talk in college basketball that you have to play 9 or 10 guys all the time to keep them fresh, Bobby Knight, not a believer in that. He doesn't have the depth. Reed gets called for the personal now, the offensive foul, and I believe that's his 3rd, and it's the first time we've really seen Bobby Knight up tonight. He came off the bench and did not like that call.
Now that's a great point you bring up. I mean, you look at some of the minutes these guys play. Evans plays 37 minutes a ball game. Reed 32. Miller 30. Another whistle. This time it goes back the other way. Tate's left scratching his head, wondering what's going on.
Well, the question tonight is the inconsistency. Here's Ute setting a screen on Lindeman, and they're going to call that one as a personal foul. I'm not saying maybe that play on its own is not a personal foul, but in the flow of this game tonight, that was not a personal foul.
Exactly.
That was a no call. But as we mentioned, Bob Knight did get up just moments ago. Never supposed to allude to that, right?
I think he's going to stay
Bob Knight's
up.
still up. And he wants the officials to come to him. Now look at this. He's out on the floor. When he calls for the officials, here they come. Now he said something was thrown on the floor, so.
Looked like a quarter or something, Bill.
But I just wonder how many coaches around the country can stand up and say, come over here, and how quickly they all came.
Not too many. Case in point, up in Ann Arbor a couple of weeks ago when he walked right into the lane. I think it was Maurice Taylor. They were on the transition. Taylor said he saw out of the corner of his eye a red sweater. He just started to giggle because he said he had no idea what was coming next. But Lindeman on the line again. The Hoosiers last 19 points against Wisconsin over the weekend all came from the stripe. Lindeman has 24 points. 7:55 to go. It's a 10-point game again. Hoosiers 55-45 over the Buckeyes. They trail the Indiana Hoosiers by 10 right now with 7:55 to go in the ball game. And the Buckeyes in some foul trouble, Bill.
Well, Steve Belder gone for the evening. Stonerook playing with the 4.
10-point game. The Buckeyes shooting 34%. Indiana 50% on the road. Mention the fact only 2 teams have shot over 50% against this Hoosier basketball team, that being Kentucky and Kansas. 2 pretty good basketball teams.
Ohio State looking inside but not able to get it there as they need to go to Tate. Patterson coming down with help defense.
Oh, now this time Randy Ayers is up. Ayers said Patterson knocked that basketball out of bounds. It's hard to tell from our vantage point, Bill. It was in the far corner, but Ayers jumped off the seat very quickly.
Well, Randy was closer than the official that made the call.
Reed into Patterson. Good move by the sophomore. He has 11. Hoosiers had 4 in double figures in the victory over Wisconsin.
And once he caught it, Stonerook couldn't be too aggressive with the personal foul difficulties that he has.
Tate loses control of the basketball. A little frustrated.
2 big turnovers by Ohio State in the last 2 possessions.
And the Buckeyes now with 14 turnovers.
Randy Ayers seeing the same thing that we just mentioned, the fact that if they're going to go inside, he needs an aggressive defender. So Gradney comes back in for some minutes against Patterson.
Reed, averaging 11, has yet to score in the ball game. Indiana leads it by 12.
Back inside they go again.
Another whistle down low. It might go against Tate.
Just too obvious by Jermaine Tate that time. He and Lindemann bumping a lot, as we've been talking about. That time Lindemann just broke loose, was going to go reestablish position, and Jermaine just reached out with the arm and popped him.
So Todd Lindemann, who averages about 18 minutes a game, he's 10 of 12 from the line. He has 24 points, a career high for him. Make that 25.
Didn't play in the first meeting. Here's, you're going to see him release, and then Tate just swings back with the right arm at him right in front of the official.
Big 7-footer's on fire now. Hasn't been that active on the offensive end, but he's been at the line for the entire second half. There's the whistle on a timeout.
And made free throws are a real sign of confidence.
So we're going to take a timeout here from St. John Arena. 59-45, Bobby Knight's Hoosiers. So check your local listings. Fred Taylor's Big Ten championship era. Bobby Knight with 11 Big Ten championships. Of course, Bobby Knight, a player one time for Fred Taylor, as Bill Hoska was, of course. Stonebrook's going to take it this time from outside.
A lot of talk this year about Gene Cady winning the 3 outrights in a row.
Yeah, that's got to
give him all the credit in the world. It was done by Fred Taylor and Ohio State, but that was on a string of 5 straight Big Ten championship teams that Fred Taylor had, and that one's never been equal.
That's an amazing feat.
Everybody thought when Lucas and Havlicek and the group left that things would settle down, but Gary Brads and Dick Ricketts, a couple of guys that helped continue it.
Well, this time Lindemann's going to go over the back. And Lindemann questions the call, but he was all over Tate that time. That's 4 on the 7-footer.
Well, he really shouldn't argue too much tonight. He's committed about 13. They've called 4 of them, so a lot of bumping inside. He's been able to play his game here tonight.
You know, you look at rivalries and big games. Of course, this is a big game for Ohio State whenever Indiana comes into town. But you talk about the 11 Big Ten championships in Bloomington. And Gene Cady now with back-to-back titles. Hold that thought as we take a look at Lindemann.
Here's the lockup inside. Those two have been dancing all evening.
26 consecutive winning seasons for Indiana, yet Purdue has got back-to-back titles. Does that get under the skin of some of the Hoosier fans?
I don't think there's any question. When you're not the state champion of Indiana, that's a problem, and right now it's in the northern part of the state.
Well, Randy Ayers with 550. He was saying earlier this week, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, even though it hasn't showed up in the win column, he feels this team has turned the corner now. They got to add some pieces to the puzzle. Of course, Ed Jenkins coming in next year. Is he going to be enough, Bill? Ed, they got to get 1 or 2 more
Mike,
guys.
I've really never seen him play since high school. As you see Rick Ute answering from the outside in his final home appearance.
Rick Ute, 6 in the first half, 6 in the second now for 12.
But they're going to need a low post presence plus an outside shooting threat. Here's a foul out on top. This one's going to go against Stringer.
It's number 2 on Damon.
And obviously we've seen a lot of frustration with the officiating tonight for the first time really all year, with not only the coaching staff of Randy Ayers, but we're seeing it out on the court. The freshmen seem to be more affected by the pace and the frustration style of this game here tonight than we've seen them in all the contests. And there's been a lot of physical games, but Purdue was physical. Illinois was very physical for Ohio State. They hung in those games and continued to play. Tonight, they seem to be a lot more disruptive in their feelings toward the officials.
Neil Reed, a minute ago you saw the numbers there, 46% from three-point land. That's his first 2 points coming from the stripe here tonight. 61-48 now. Indiana with 17 wins, so hoping to make it 18. Singleton, little stutter step. He's called with walking with the basketball. It comes back the other way. 16 turnovers now on the Buckeyes. They came in averaging 19, but They've only committed 16 over the last 5 games as an average.
Well, Indiana just packing it in back in there defensively. Stonebrook can pop open about any time, and they're not even covering him out on the floor. So then when you catch it inside and try to make a move against them, it's really tough going. Indiana using clock, under 5 minutes in the ball game.
Lindemann.
And that time I thought he got bumped a little bit. So this one very strange from that standpoint all night.
Down on the baseline, Singleton took the feed from Stringer, and Singleton's called with the foul.
And now we see another freshman totally questioning the call. He can't believe it. Here's a look. Here's the move. Boy, you tell me on that one. Lindemann did not appear to be there in time. Not many guys get there in time when Singleton's making the move.
No, you're right. I think in Lindemann's mind, he thought he could get there, but his body didn't follow suit. I think you're right, Bill. So the big guy's back on the stripe again.
1 field goal in the second half. What's it making, like 10 out of 12 from the free throw line? You take another look. You tell me if he's set. And that's in slow motion. Of course, I shouldn't say anything. I played the entire game in slow motion, so.
That's not what I heard.
Believe me. Comparison to the way people move today. I can relate to Lindemann a little bit.
Well, I think athletes inside. Nice dish. Nice reverse shot by Singleton. Singleton with 15. I think the athletes obviously are bigger and stronger and faster every year. It's scary what 15 years from now what they're going to look like.
There's Tate. He's close to getting a technical foul as Jermaine Tate. He had that steal. He was there in time, and he reached in with the wrong arm.
So Tate coming off the 21-point performance. He has 4 points, leaves with 5 fouls.
Frustrating evening for that young man. He made 2 good moves to start the second half. It looked like he was going to get untracked offensively, but then really got caught up into the bumping down inside with Lindemann. And tonight, Lindemann the big winner.
So Charlie Miller goes to the line for the Hoosiers. So we mentioned earlier, Hoosiers like to make more free throws than the opposition attempted. And they usually do it year in and year out. They're a little bit behind that this year, but they've certainly spent the night on the line here in the second half.
They're 18 out of 24 for the ball game, and Ohio State just 7 of 9. But that's not all officiating. That's not a bum rap on the officials here tonight. A lot of that is the fact that Buckeyes not moving and getting inside the way Indiana. They're just packing it back inside. Stonebrook with room again. Tried to force the pass, and you can't do it. Passing lane's too long. Indiana read it all the way.
Neil Reed from Louisiana actually spent his sophomore season at Bloomington High School. Dish, good feed inside to Patterson. He's going to go to the line, shooting 2. Good ball movement that time by the Indiana Hoosiers.
Excellent. They got it back down on the low post again when Ohio State reacted defensively. Lindemann just dropped it off to his teammate. That's a tough angle, but a good pass, good catch. And Lindemann turns and looks for Patterson, who doesn't finish, but he's fouled in the act of shooting.
And Patterson now with 12, all coming in the second half.
He involved with Deshaun Coleman in the opening moments of the ball game. Coleman out for the ball game. Patterson was shaken up, but did reappear for some minutes in the first half. Has played well here in the second.
He had a big second half against Wisconsin in Madison over the weekend. Buckeyes trail by 15. Time a factor now. 34. That's Evans with the knee.
Fouls on 34. Brian Evans is second.
So it's number 2 on Brian Evans. Evans with 16 points, but 14 of the 16 came in the first half.
Damon Stringer shooting 2.
Stringer with a good penetrating dribble. Mismatch speed-wise for Evans, and reaches out with the right knee, but you see nothing but red shirts in there waiting on Stringer.
Stringer now with 6 before we close out the home season. We should point out too that Damon obviously had a lot of turnovers this year, but he had 116 assists coming in, breaking Jimmy Jackson's freshman record of 110. 7 points now for the freshman out of Cleveland, and Don Jantonio checks back in for the Buckeyes.
3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in regulation. Indiana been in control of the ball game throughout as far as the tempo is concerned. Ohio State with a few moments of transition basketball, but very little. Most of it's been what we're seeing right there. Indiana in their half-court offense, getting it down inside. This time the shot doesn't drop. Buckeyes have to push it up. Can't be overly patient now with the half-court offense. They've got to get it airborne.
Ute misses that time, and Patterson clears. You know, the Buckeyes trailed by a dozen at halftime, Bill. Usually the game of basketball is a game of runs. I'm surprised the Buckeyes can't put together one good run here.
Timeout called by the senior Evans, and I think this will be the 22nd variety.
22nd. Full timeout.
And then Bobby Knight overrules his player and says he wants the full timeout.
And what he says goes, right? 2:33 to go, 65-52 Indiana. A lot of bumping and grinding down.
Plus, it wasn't just an individual battle, it's a total team concept. And as you mentioned, Evans 5 out of his first 7, and then he's quieted down offensively, and they've gone inside all night to the big guy. Bob Knight not pleased with that call.
I think the Buckeye defense have done a superb job on Neil Reed. Reed's really struggled on the offensive end for Indiana, and he is definitely one of their scoring threats. Anytime somebody takes 124 three-point attempts, but he has 2 points in the ball game, both from the stripe here in the second half. Singleton, he's had the hot hand. He hits it again.
He's played well here tonight. And these are big moments for these freshmen at Ohio State who will not see tournament action, but having good games this time of the season can propel you in a whole different mental frame of mind as you head into the springtime and practicing for next year. So it's nice to see a couple of these kids ending on a high note. Stringer picked up the personal foul. Now it looks like Randy Ayers wants a 22nd timeout, and it'll stay at 20. Now Evans very clearly called for the 20 that last time, and Bob Knight overruled him. And not so sure you can even do that, Mike. Once you determine what kind of a timeout you want, you can change it. Gene Davis, assistant for Ohio State, tried to come up and question it, but the officials wouldn't hear it. So it's not going to determine the outcome of this when we're at 2 minutes and still an 11-point ball game.
This weekend coming up, of course.
Game at a time. They really don't have a typical Indiana type team as far as their motion offense is concerned. And you know, one of the thoughts you have when you watch this club is, why didn't they go inside more to Lindemann and try to structure it more this year? They've done it the last 3 or 4 ball games, and they're finding some success with it right now.
And a dejected Buckeye bench at the 2-minute mark. Reed, an 82% shooter. He's hit all his free throws. He's got 4. Indiana on the road. They've shot 27 free throws in this half alone. Stonewall sets the new clock, but the turnover sends it the other way.
He stepped on the sideline as he gathered in that loose ball, the long rebound. They got a hold away from the ball. I think this go against Jason Singleton. So the clock stops with 1:47 remaining for Randy Ayers' club. Down by 13. Miller will go back up to the free throw line.
Simply couldn't close the gap here in the second half. Randy Ayers' young Buckeyes. Miller with 4. Charlie Miller, 6'7" sophomore out of Miami. Now 5 pushes the lead to 14. Make it 15 as he gets the roll. Indiana will make it 3 straights, and of course their name will surface with the NCAA selection committee. But what kind of bubble are we looking at in the Big Ten? Damon Stringer, a little hang time from three-point land.
Stringer stops again. Felt that he was bumped on the way up, going for the 3.
You know, 6-7 teams year in and year out from the Big Ten go to the Big Dance. Bill, what are we looking at this year? I mean,
I think 5.
5?
Be my guess right now, depending on what happens in some of the tournaments.
Patterson, big second half, and he continues to have the big second 20 minutes. 15 all in the second half. You know, Evans, top of the broadcast, we talked about the fact the last Indiana Hoosier was George McGinnis back in '71 to lead the Big Ten in scoring. Evans comes in averaging just under 22. I can speak for me. He's got 16, 2 in the second half. I think I'd be cognizant, but obviously he isn't. You mentioned the system and the team player he is.
You don't worry about those things. There he is doing a good job on the defensive glass.
9 rebounds now for Evans. 9 rebounds, 16 points.
He'll get a chance right here as we go back up to the free throw line. I tell you, we don't have all the stats for minutes played, but he has to lead the conference in minutes on the floor. This guy simply doesn't come out for Indiana.
Yeah, really, that's a good point. He's played 40 minutes in 7 of his last 9 ball games.
He's a quick draw at that line, a quick study for a great shooter. He doesn't take the little dribble to get his rhythm or anything.
And he said no matter how tired
catches,
he is,
shoots it.
He won't ask to be taken out either. If Knight wants to take him out, Knight's got to take him out.
As we talk about it, he is going to go out. They feel this one is over. 44 seconds left, and Evans leaves the ball game after knocking in both free throws.
So he leaves with 18 points, 9 rebounds. Just missed the double-double. He has 7 double-doubles. Stringer with the runner off the glass. Stringer with 9. You realize that not one Indiana player in the history of Indiana ever recorded the triple-double?
There's traveling out on top. Ohio State looked like they were trying to foul to stop the clock. Well, you don't know how long they've kept those stats now.
Okay. Evans has been close. Stringer loses control. There's a story right here, number 23, Kevin Lemmy. He's one of the student managers. Now he's on scholarship.
But though, when you look at it, Mike, over the years, there haven't been that many great professional players come out of Indiana.
True.
Not that there haven't been pro players, but they're so ingrained into team basketball, not the one-on-one style like the game has changed. But you always don't express all your individual talents. You play to win basketball games as a team, and it works for them.
9 seconds to go. Brian Evans, does he play in the NBA?
Oh, he'll play somewhere.
Last 2 seconds of the ball game. Lindemann will have one last shot. It doesn't go. There's the final horn. Putting this one in the books, and the Indiana Hoosiers win their 18th, the 73 to 56.
Enjoy.